Alright, hello once again, this is Jeff Scott welcoming you back to day 2 of our Scratch programming class. And in the last installment, or the last part we went over, we talked a little bit about moving around in here. And I just do want to mention, literally, give me 5 minutes if you would please. This is considered the Cartesian coordinate system. Again, I remember learning this in maybe it was junior high school. All right, and you have 4 quadrants here. When you're in this quadrant that's right here, I think that's referred to as quadrant 1, your x is positive and your y is positive. If you're in here where our cat is right now, in quadrant 2, then your x is negative because it's below 0, 0. But our y is positive because it's to the right. When you're in quadrant 3, both the x is negative and the y is negative because you're going left and down. Finally, when you're in quadrant 4 right here, all right, when you're in quadrant 4, your x is negative and your y is positive. So, I mean, we could plot points in here, but for example, this right here would be point 100, 100, because we're 100 over on the left and 100 up for the y. If we were here, we'd be at negative 100, 100, because we would be down down 100 pixels, yet over 100. So actually this would be what? This would be this would be 100, negative 100 right here. This would be negative 100, negative 100. And finally this right here would be negative 100, 100. So hopefully you can see at least a little bit how you can move things around. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to look, and let's see. So there, I've changed my background, as you can see. All right, and let's do a couple things. Okay, we could leave that 100, 100 up there, and maybe the background, maybe I even should have. It's wearing on me a little bit though, so. All right. So we've got this hello, which I don't want there anymore. So let's start putting in a little bit of code. All right, so we're going to start with an event, and when clicked, the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put in a loop. And I'm just going to say forever. And what I want to be able to start doing, and maybe I will change my background back again, but what I want to be able to start doing is I want to have the cat be able to go left, right, up, and down. All right? So what I'm going to do when I do this is I'm going to use the right arrow to move to the right, the left arrow to move to the left, the up arrow to move up, and the down arrow to move down. I mean, that should make sense. And like I said, maybe I should bring this one back again. I don't really, it's not my favorite, but just so you can see what's happening. So let's come in to our control, and let's put a few if statements in here. Okay, so the first one that we're going to say in here is if, and what do we want here? We want let's see. touching ask. Hold on for just a second, please. Alright, what I was looking for, I don't know why I couldn't find it, but I want to look and see if a key is pressed. And what key? Well, what I'm going to start with is, and it doesn't matter the order in which I do it, but I'm going to start with my left arrow. So, if my left arrow key is pressed, then what I want to do is, I believe this is in motion, I want to change X by 10. Okay? Now, hopefully I've got that working. When I click on here, if I start clicking my left arrow key, actually that should have been the right arrow key, sorry. Let's make that the right arrow key. Alright, so stop the run, start the run. When I click the right arrow key, you can see what's happening. Makes sense? Now, we've talked about this before, a little shortcut, right mouse click and choose duplicate. And let's put this underneath here. So if the left arrow key is pressed, we want to change X by -10. So again, as we come in here and we run this, we can now use our arrow keys to move here or to move here. You can probably already guess what's coming next. I'm going to duplicate this again. And if the up arrow key is pressed, now it's not a change X by, it's a change Y by 10. Finally, I will duplicate this one last, whoops, not that. We'll duplicate this one last time and see if my down arrow key is pressed. I'm going to change Y by -10. Alright, so let's run the program and now let's see if my mouse, there's the left, there's the right, and my up and down don't appear to be working right now. Don't know exactly what happened there. Didn't want that. So if the up arrow is pressed, I want to move that. If the right, okay, let's try that again. So, right, left, well, alright, I had an error in my code, and I want to show you what it is. I had the code like this. Now, look at this. This right here says if the right arrow key was pressed, okay, move X by 10. That way. If the left arrow key is pressed, then move X by -10. Those are both correct. The problem is, I've got this one inside of there where it shouldn't have been. It should have been down here. Now I believe it's right, so let's check again. So here's my left arrow, here's my right arrow, here's my up arrow, here's my down arrow. And when you think about it, in a couple minutes we're going to start our project that we're working on to create our maze game. And now we've got really the 4 directions we might want to move in. You can call them north, south, east, west if you want. You can call them up, down, left, right. It really and truly doesn't matter. Alright? Alright, but I do want you to understand that when we are talking about this quadrant system in here, that this is the first quadrant where they're both positive. This is the second quadrant where X is positive, but y is negative. This is the third quadrant where they're both negative. This is the fourth quadrant where x is negative, but y is positive. So again, if I do make this, there we go. Now, boom, 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 boom. Couple things for you to notice. If this was our maze, for example, one thing is we'd want to make the cat a lot smaller. All right, and I think everybody realizes that. So one thing we might want to do would be to come in here and do a set size, and I don't remember offhand exactly where that is, but it's not motion, it's looks, so that would make sense. So I probably at the beginning, not inside of here, but at the beginning, I'd probably want to change it so that the size was maybe, I don't know, 25%. So now notice that when I stop and I run it again, you can see how much smaller the cat is. But if the idea is the cat wants to go through a maze, I still got all my power. All right, that's not a problem. And he might even be too big at 25%. I might want to cut it down from there as well. All right, but what I do want you to understand is we've already got a lot of our maze capability finished. All right, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to send you the file that I'm about to show you. I'm going to send this to you, but I believe it's here on my desktop. And might be this one here. No, it's maze sprite 2. So I'm going to try something here that I've not tried yet. I may or may not have mentioned this to those of you in the class, but just so you know, if you care, I was asked to change this class from Android App Inventor, which it was going to be, which involved having to be online in order to do what you want to do. Plus, if you wanted to actually test it on a real device, it had to be an Android device, etc., to changing it to Scratch. But prior to 3 days ago, I'd never used Scratch in my life. Maybe it shows. I don't know. All right. So as I start working my way through here, then, let's see. I want to go back again to here. Stop the program run. And I'm going to go to choose a sprite. Now I could go in and I could choose one of these. That's not what I want to do, and actually we will do this later. All right. So we've got choose a built-in one, paint our own, get a surprise one, and upload a sprite. I believe what I want to do here is upload. So I'm going to try this. Okay, now what you'll notice when we look in here, let's choose a backdrop, let's choose something else because that one was very, let's choose that. Okay, now what you'll notice when you look on here is we've got a maze. All right, and you will have all of this ability. The problem right now, we want to make sure that the maze is literally at 100 at 0, 0. So we want the middle of the maze to be at there. All right. When we run the program, though, our cat can kind of cheat, for lack of better words. All right, so we're going to have to change that, and we will. All right, but with the file that I just added, and again, you will get this file, what we now have, what we now have in our system, boy, oh boy, it's my granddaughter. What we now have, though, in our system, if I come back to here, is we're going to have a series of mazes. So when you get through the first maze, you'll go to the second one, then the third, then the fourth, the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and then you'll bounce back again to the first one. Okay? All right. So, what are the problems that we have right now? Let's just take a minute and talk about them. You've already seen them, but I'm going to show them to you again anyway. So you run the program. All right? Think about what we'd like to do here. All righty? So, we'd want this guy pretty much when we start the game to be, oh, I don't know, about right there. Because we can do this when you look. It's still a little big, but you get the idea. We could play the game right now. All right, but the ability to cheat is also there. Okay, so what do we want to do here? We want to set this up. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the size of this because he's too big right now. So I'm going to cut him in either in half or down by a bit, 10% or 15%. But what I want to do is when he goes and collides with a wall like this, all right, I want him to basically not perform the operation. So I don't want him to be able to do this because there he's walking through a wall. Because if you can do that, I mean, think about it. Now if I go and do this, now I've won the game. It's not a very fair game, to be honest with you. So I want him to remain within the confines of where we are. All right, so that's one thing. Second thing, as I mentioned, I want him to start basically around here. I want him to end around there. We'll have a little prize there. Okay, in fact, I was thinking about this. Let's go back here again. And this is sprite 1. Let's see. Let's bring in a different sprite. And I'll bring in an animal. Oh, that's a backdrop, I'm sorry. So let's bring in a different sprite. So I'm going to bring in an animal. Oh, I like that. A monkey. All right. Okay, so now I got a monkey. I don't really need this one here anymore. But this one, I believe, he's got my code in it. Show you a little trick here, and that is if I grab my code and I grab it and drag it on top of here, of right there, and let go, now that code is in my monkey as well. All right, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to delete that sprite. That's okay because now I have my code. Thought I did at least. There it is. All right. It looks like I've got code in my maze. I'm going to get rid of all that. Put some code in there later. But now I've got that. So, looking at the monkey here, size is 100%. Let's try knocking him down to about 15%. Well, that was wrong. I was doing it with a maze. So, bring that back to 100%. There we go. Get rid of this again. Now let's click so we're on the monkey. Alright, now let's change its size to, I don't know, maybe 15%. Now how does that look? That looks like it's pretty good. Probably could even be a little smaller than that. Let's try 10. I'm going to make them so small that you can't see them. That might be better. So there's the monkey. Well, the monkey wants to go through here, so let's have a prize for the monkey. So let's add yet another sprite. You know as well as I do, monkeys like bananas. So there's our banana. We'll put that up here. And again, we'll click on it. We'll make that also about 10%. That might be too small. Let's try 20%. That's better. So when the monkey reaches the banana, okay, we'll want certain things to happen. All right, just building this right now, just right in front of your eyes, but thinking about it. And one of the things that you really should do, and you can do this in a package like Sprite, like Scratch rather. I mean, you can do it in any programming language, and that is, you should be thinking about what you want to do before you do it. All right. So, I mean, like I said, there's a problem right now in that when I play this, all right, I can run the program. All right, I can see the monkey is still too big. But what? I won the game. And that was way too easy. All right, and I don't want it set up like that. So the first thing I'm going to do, and that was good to see that, and that was grab the monkey here, which I guess somehow got up to 25%. Let's try 15%. And let's run it again. There's the monkey. That still may be a little bit too big. All right, so I'm going to make that monkey 10%. And let's run it one last time. Well, that's not 10%, I can tell you that for sure. Click on the monkey. Oh, there, I'm setting the size, so that's what it was. That's why it kept changing. So, we don't even have to do this because I've set it here. But it does bring up a very interesting point that I'll explain to you in just a second. So there's the monkey. That's pretty good. All right. One last thing before we finish this part of the unit here, and that is very interesting, kind of a thing for you to understand is, like many programming languages, I can change the monkey's size here, making it 10%. What if I go back to 100? It's now 100. He's way too big. You know that. But watch when I run the program, because I've set the size here at the beginning. And as soon as the program starts to run, the monkey's back to 10% again. So the reason, what I'm trying to tell you here is that in many programming languages, what you are able to do is you've got more or less kind of an easel or a design screen, and you can set things in there, or you can go in and you can set them in code. And often when you do this, it really doesn't matter at all where you know which one you use. So I'm going to grab this right here. All right, and I'm going to take, and usually if I take my mouse and I move it around, you know, I can kind of figure out, for lack of better words, where certain things are. All right, so I want to figure out where that is. I want to figure out where this is, etc. So I want to have some kind of an idea of exactly where it is on the screen that I'm going to be. You'll notice that right now the monkey is at 15, negative 156. Let's try moving him down to 166. And you can see he's down a little farther. Let's try it. Instead of 15, let's make it 14. That looks not bad. Let's make it here. How about 168? There. Now that looks like where the monkey should be starting. So I did that basically by making some tests and trying, and I could probably even knock this down to 13. Maybe even to 12. That looks pretty good, and maybe this to negative 170. Okay? I mean, it looks like the monkey's at a really good start position, but what I'm trying to tell you is instead of 12, negative 168 there, I can come back up here and I can do my setting of X and Y. I can come in here and I can basically set them up here. So I've set my size here. So I can do a go to XY right there, and I've already got 12 and negative 168. So now it doesn't matter. Again, we can take the monkey and put the monkey, if we want to, right in the middle of the screen. Oops, and it's got to be my fault. So I can put the monkey at 0, 0. All right, there's the monkey in the middle. But notice that as soon as I run the program, how the monkey has gone back to the beginning. So I want to do that. I want to find out where this is, and it's just about there right now. And I want to make sure that I do a set XY on the banana right there. Okay, now when you think about it, the monkey is the thing here that that is able to move, etc. I have not put that ability into the banana. All right. Why? Because the banana is the prize. There's absolutely no reason for the banana to move. So when I look at this, right now, the banana is at what? 1242, it looks like. What if I moved him up one more? I want to make sure it's the banana I'm working with. It's at negative 12, 171. What if I moved it up to 173? That's good. Maybe even one more. Good. All right, so what I want to do is when clicked, so when I start my program here, I want to come in and I want to do my go to XY, and I want my go to XY to be set to what? Negative 12, 174. Okay, it remembers where I just was. So I'm not, I mean, even if I sat and moved this now, and I move this, so you can see that, and that's totally fine. But the idea is now, as soon as I run the program, they should bounce back into place. And you notice they both do. That's good. That's exactly what we want to have happen. All right. So what we'll discuss in the next lecture then is how to make the monkey start to move. Then we'll also think about what do we want to have happen, all right, once the monkey actually reaches right here. Okay? So I'll come back to talk about that in just a couple moments.